What is up, everybody? I am Trey Griggs. I am Hayden already. Let me start over. I am Coleman Ruffin, and I am going to be your host today of Iron Minds. We had some scheduling issues, but don't worry. We're going to take care of you today. We got a fun show planned for you. Make sure, and if you don't know already, Iron Minds is a weekly podcast about getting your mind right, getting your body right to make sure that you're having a killer week. Make sure to join us every Monday at 10 a.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Central. What is that? 12 p.m. Eastern. Follow us on social medias, YouTube and TikTok at Iron Minds BCG. And make sure to follow Beta Consulting Group if you aren't already on all of the social platforms. Again, Facebook, LinkedIn, at Beta Consulting Group, and on YouTube, Beta Podcast Network. Let's go.
Hey.
All right, everybody. So we are going to go with a little bit of a different route today. We are here with our podcast director, Natalia, back there. So you'll definitely hear us chopping it up. But, we were talking a little bit before the show about what should the goal for this be? And, I think that there are so many of us that have such a busy day, busy life, wherever we're at and, what we're doing, that I think that we want to just give you a couple of exercises that you can literally do anytime, anywhere, just to get the blood flowing, just to make sure that you're staying on top of that stuff. And yes, I am rocking the Raiders shirt because they are playing tonight. So we're just going to go through a couple of different exercises, a little stretching routine, because as I am getting older, yes, I am feeling old, I realize how important that is. So we're going to start off with a couple of just standard exercises that, again, you're at your desk, you have 5 minutes, you just want to get the blood flowing, that you can do anytime, anywhere. So let's go ahead and get started.
Hello, party person. How are you doing?
I know. Yeah, I'm so excited for this. And first and foremost, you got to start out with some push-ups. So I'm just going to keep going through. We can, talk through it, and I'll let you know what I'm doing as we go. But if I start breathing very heavily, don't judge me too much. It's been a little while.
At all. I don't know if you've ever gone on a treadmill before and been cognizant of people around you. Have you ever tried to control your breath? That way you don't sound out of breath, but in turn, you just kind of are suffering.
You mean what I'm doing literally right now?
Are you trying not to have your breath heaving into the microphone for everyone to hear, basically?
Well, especially being here in Colorado at elevation, that happens to me when I walk upstairs. So it's like I get to the top of the stairs and I just wait a little bit so I don't sound winded with everybody else around me.
I get so embarrassed. I'll have a playlist going so that way I get motivated running on the treadmill, or maybe I have it on full incline and I'll be at a fast speed walk so that way I don't necessarily have to run. But then I'll realize I'm actually heaving right now. I take a headphone out just to see how I sound.
Yeah, I literally am thinking that exact same thing right now. And all I'm doing as I'm going through this is trying to do 10 of everything, take a little break, do 10 more of something. It's easy, but I literally am feeling that right now. I'm but
it's okay.
Yeah, that's part of a fitness journey, right? And I think that that's also something very important to know is no matter where you're at, it is a mental game. Get over that little hump, understand that everybody starts somewhere, and just keep working at it. It's what's the good adage that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, shout out if you're watching this. But the saying is one day or day one. Make today day one, right? Just get nose to the grindstone and get after it if you can.
Absolutely. That's great. I've heard actually too, one thing that I keep in mind with breathing when I get a little bit embarrassed with how bad it is, breathing is so important with your workouts too, especially when you're breathing. I learned that early on. You can actually hurt yourself if you're not breathing correctly. So sometimes I just have no shame. I'm gonna let all the breaths out, but you have nothing to worry about. We can't hear every little single breath that you're making. You're perfectly fine.
That makes me feel a little bit better about myself. But yeah, it's actually, I mean, again, you and I were talking about this, where I used to be in pretty good shape, I would say. Maybe not the best shape in the world, but it's definitely something that's fallen to the wayside a little bit, and it's frustrating, right? Especially like knowing where you used to be, and I think that this is something that a lot of people out there experience. It's like used to be able to do this, used to be able to do that, try to do something similar to that now, and you're like, oh man, it's kind of disheartening, and it does suck. But again, it's all it's not just a you turn it on and off type thing. You got to work at it as you're going through.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't have the strength to bounce back like you once used to as a teenager. I've heard many times from family members that they kind of just hit like 35 or 40 years old and instantly just like felt this plateau. And, that
That was
they
me
don't
when I
like.
hit 30.
Yeah.
I know, so excited. So
For anyone else
push-ups,
who's maybe
easy,
hit that plateau.
easy one. This is another good one that I've always loved. Just to kind of work on the legs a little bit more, is just one-legged stand-ups from your seat. You're right. You're sitting at your desk, but you just take one and then go from there. If that is too hard, that's okay. Use both. Right. You're working your way up. It's not like it's something that you got to do right from the get-go. But this is always a great one. Again, just to kind of focus a little bit on the lower body. One thing I will always harp on, again, as I'm already out of breath from doing 40 push-ups, is focus on form. Don't just sit here and just, kind of go crazy, right? Nice, slow, and easy movements. Make sure that you're emphasizing a lot of different things on there. But yes, very out of breath at this point. And for me, that age cliff was 30. I'm getting old. It's not fun.
It's okay. Slow and steady wins the race. I've actually seen faster and better results with myself, and even just with my fitness journey, working out with my sister, working out with my dad. When you take the time to go slow and steady and actually make sure you're hitting the form, sometimes you get all you need with just, oh.
Hey, this is, buddy, this is part of the at-home workouts, right? You got to be able to deal with a little bit of everything that's in here. And he loves the attention. He's not going to leave now at this point.
He's spotting you. Make sure that you're okay.
Oh, yeah. Every time I've ever done any type of workouts down here, he always comes down, has to say what's up.
But yeah, just with slow and steady, making sure that you're hitting the correct form. I've seen better results, and you just kind of get the full benefits out of that whenever you're focusing on doing it correctly rather than just trying to push through the workout. Sometimes you're not even really hitting any muscle groups or hitting the right one at that.
100%. And you have a lot higher risk of injury. And again, at this age, you don't want to get injured.
All right, so I
problem,
guess
though.
I think I do. I ran, so I was in Orlando. I'm from Florida, but for college, I needed to get active, and I was really active with my family members in high school. Kind of got into it, didn't take it like extremely seriously, but my uncle, he just kind of walked me through it. He used to be a bodybuilder. And he just kind of taught me correct form, importance of the breathing and when you're doing your breathing, how you're doing it, focusing on, making sure you're holding out the workouts. You're not just like rushing through it. So that way you're flexing that muscle group, making sure you're targeting the right things. And then obviously moved away, didn't have my uncle or my dad anymore. And I focused on a lot of running. That really got me up and moving. I would get up at like 5 a.m. and just run around the campus. And by no means am I a great runner. I can't tell you my pace. I can't tell you my breathing techniques. I can't tell you anything that an actual runner would know how to do. I just really enjoyed getting out of my dorm and actually taking that time for myself, pushing a little bit if I was frustrated with classes. I was an accounting minor, so a lot of tears, a lot of stress each week with assignments. And sometimes you just needed the run to cry it out. But I think I ruined my knees, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And I hate running. I'm the guy that's always hated running. But again, it was something I took for granted. Like back in Chicago, to this point, seven-ish years ago, I signed up for a 5K out of nowhere and literally just wanted to try it. Ended up averaging like a 7-minute mile or something like that. But I tried to run a mile the other day. I barely could finish the damn thing. So it's a journey. It's something you just got to keep up with. and slowly chip away at. Otherwise, kind of start from scratch a little bit. Again,
Absolutely.
sucking air over here.
This might be a stupid comment on my part. I find it easier for some reason to find a more steady and easier pace and also just like an easier experience when I'm running a mile or so on a treadmill versus out in the open and the great outdoors. I have no idea what it is. Maybe someone else knows it. I'm not a fitness guru by any means. I don't have a ton of fitness knowledge, but I have found I can I can get after it on a treadmill and just keep going at any pace, or it'll probably be a slow one. Don't mind me. It's not impressive at all, but versus when I'm outdoors running and I feel like I want to take a break and walk every single like 30 seconds.
Geez, see, I almost think it's easier outside because to me, if it's like at least changing views and scenery, and I feel like I'm actually making progress. If I'm on a treadmill, I'm like, man, I'm not moving anywhere. But it's
I
interesting
think
to hear the different sides of things.
maybe it's just a focus thing. I think I mentioned before, probably to you and Morgan, that I get like laser focus on certain things, especially when I have one thing to focus on. So for the treadmill, I found the absolute best playlist right now. Have you seen the Barbie movie?
I haven't heard good
It's
things
okay.
though.
I have not seen the Barbie movie, but I have definitely heard the songs from the playlist. And let me tell you, Barbie with Nicki Minaj, I will have that on repeat, or even just Speed Drive. I'll have Speed Drive or Barbie on repeat while I'm on the treadmill. I can go a full 20 minutes just listening to that. I'm just running to the cadence of it. I'm singing the words. I'm out of breath, heaving, but I'm singing along to the lyrics. I know it by heart now. My sister
That's
and
so
my
funny.
friends are very impressed with my ability to recall lyrics for songs like that. But it is so much fun on the treadmill, and I don't know what it is. I think it's because I get to have that laser focus. There's not too much going on around me, and I get to just like
Yep.
stare and sing the lyrics and just run my little heart out.
That's the other thing too. So key to have something that like gets you motivated. I mean,
Yeah.
great up high tempo music. Um, Sometimes I actually like to listen to motivational speeches, which sounds
Really?
crazy, but like Eric Thomas, great. Some David Goggins in there, another great one. But yeah, every now and then it just changes the pace a little bit. But yeah, I cannot do any type of workouts like this is hard. Like, not that you're not motivating by any means, but it's like having a nice up tempo type of beat or something always goes such a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess kind of coming back into like the whole reason of this podcast and trying to have people find that community, someone to work out with, like it's just something that you can listen and tune into and almost zone out to. For me, when I am kind of overwhelmed with work or there's just a lot of tasks to do and you get that moment to just step away and push everything out and zone out, I find that to be the most helpful because otherwise you're constantly thinking about all the tasks that are on top of you, maybe the stuff that's delayed or maybe the stuff that has to go ahead. And sometimes it kind of gets overwhelming to where you just don't even know where to start. Maybe it's not with work, but even just in life, getting overwhelmed and then kind of feeling almost paralyzed by it. But at least having to being able to get out there and just kind of get your body moving, get your mind off of it, and also get your body active, it really helps. It's that stress reliever to kind of clear your mind, take a little
Yeah,
break, step back, and then sometimes I'll come back to my work and I'm like, this is incredibly easy. Like what was I so stressed about? I know exactly what to do.
100%. And I think that you feel so much more accomplished. Again, I was listening to one of the Joe Rogan podcasts the other day, and I think something that he said that, again, kind of resonates with you is when he kicks his ass in the gym, afterwards, he's like, you know what? I actually feel good about myself. Like I
Yeah.
accomplished something. Like I don't feel like I just didn't do anything. And it's just one of those little things. Like this has been 10 minutes. I'm already out of breath. But like afterwards, like okay, you at least did something. And I think that's one of the goals with this specific episode is like you're at your desk. You're always doing something. Like take 5 to 10 minutes, and again, just do exactly what I did over that. And again, you feel decent a little bit afterwards. A little bit sad because, like, man, I used to be able to do this like it was nothing. But again, you're making progress. You're feeling like you're getting your body moving, and that goes a long way to your point also from the mentality aspect side of things.
Absolutely. Are you having
Okay,
fun?
such a blast. So we are
Yes.
halfway through. And again, that was 10 minutes, but that was a full leg workout, upper body workout, and a core workout. So I literally only did 3 things. I'm already starting to feel a little bit warm, feel a little bit hot, and that takes 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes is literally no time out of your day. And it's, again, little building blocks that you're setting to set yourself up for success. Now, the other half of this that I know that we wanted to focus on, and this is actually going back to David Goggins. I read his book not too long ago called Can't Hurt Me. And he credited one of the biggest things for him after a certain age was actually stretching, right? Like all of us, when we think about physical fitness, it's, lifting weights, going running, whatever it is. All of these exercises tend to be so high impact on your body. It's extremely important to stay nimble because, again, everything kind of contracts as we're getting a little bit older. So that has always been, or as of late, has been definitely a larger focus of mine. Shame on me. I should probably do it a little bit more, but I was the kind of guy that never stretched, like literally never stretched. I played soccer my whole life, hardly ever did it, but it's always a big focus of mine now. So again, all stuff that you can do really anytime, anywhere. But the rest of this is going to be a little bit focusing on the stretching side of things, making sure we're staying elastic, if you will.
Yep. Absolutely. For anyone also tuning in, I hope someone's tuning in. But if you're tuning in,
I don't know.
time,
Actually, I don't know if I hope anybody is or not.
you hope no one's tuning in. They'll just come back to this at a later time and
Yeah,
and find it then. But yeah, absolutely. Just join the community. If you're having that struggle, you don't need to be a bodybuilder. You don't need to be a fitness guru. This is just about, getting up from your desk, taking that time for yourself. It's not healthy to just kind of have your mind on, especially with work all the time, 24/7. You need to step away and have that time for yourself. And this is the perfect excuse for it. Taking care of yourself.
yeah.
If you're looking for that start, looking for like-minded people and just, I don't know, a little bit more of conversation to listen into and also ideas on what to work on. Tune in.
100%. Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, like as bad and out of shape as I am now, I'm even way less flexible, like struggling to touch the toes. But again, I think that it's a good reminder. Like it's stuff that we all need to continually be doing, and we all start somewhere. Like I remember talking with a buddy of mine who, was a little bit on the heavier side, and this was back in college, and him talking about having anxiety going to the gym or starting that workout journey. And I get it, right? Like it's an uncomfortable thing, and you think you're going to the gym with a whole bunch of intimidating people. And at least from my experience, it actually tends to be one of the most supportive communities that are out there, right? Because they all understand that, hey, you have to start from somewhere, and they actually appreciate it, right? Like somebody that's trying to better themselves, going to the gym, like they take that a whole lot better than, again, somebody's like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then doesn't follow through. So again, that's at least a word of encouragement from my experience of the gym community and all of that.
No, I heard very similar things. I think I was also just kind of something related that Hayden and I were discussing last time when it was just kind of Hayden doing his thing. He was recovering from his injury. Just talking about mindset and how we perceive ourselves. And one thing, I had huge gym anxiety when I was going in, just because I felt like I'm not tall, I'm not like built, I'm not lean or anything. I was fairly skinny starting out. I was just like a freshman in high school. And, I'm not going to start off like with a bunch of muscle and I'm not going to start off at my goals or anything. And something that I had to get so much out of my head of was thinking that other people were going to think that way. And I've heard very often lately that same thing where a lot of people are so willing to help you and actually just want to help you. If they see you struggling, it's not, and don't take it personally like, oh, this is embarrassing or anything. Take it more as thank you so much for coming out before I literally hurt myself. And also for helping me, because if I would have continued doing it the wrong way, I would have never seen any progress and I would have never actually hit any goals. And then you get more frustrated with yourself because you're not seeing the progress that you would have in as short as like a few months or maybe that 6-month mark, and it's taking forever. So I've heard very similar things as well where people actually perceive like the newcomers where they're staying consistent and they're so supportive. They're such a supportive community, but that is such a huge thing to get out of your head about when you're new to it because you are
Yep.
intimidated by everyone who is farther along in their fitness journey. And it's kind of just in your own head. But when you switch your mindset and you just kind of switch that perspective, you kind of you get out of that head and you see it as a more positive light and less
100%.
scary.
Yeah, I mean, even from that, more often than not, again, from my experience and some other things that I've heard and read about, is that intimidation factor tends to be from like-minded people. And what I mean by
Yeah.
that is, again, in my buddy's case, like it was the people that were in a similar spot to him that would go. You'd think that they'd be like, oh, we're all in a commonality type of thing, like, hey, let's build each other up. But it was more of, oh, this person's more out of shape than me, kind of putting them down to lift themselves up. So again, it's
Yeah.
it's it's about getting over that, again, mental hump, right? Like fitness is such a mental aspect side of things. If you can kind of master what's up here, it changes everything else, right? Like obviously it's a physical thing, it's a physical activity that's hard to do, but if you can get your mind right about it, it goes so much further.
Absolutely. And you bring so much more value and benefit to the community as well, where you're just kind of adding to that positivity, you're adding to that supportiveness of the community, you're just adding to the light that is to be shed on the community as well, and how many good people are actually out there. It's such a good thing to once you kind of get out of your head and you can see things for what they truly are. And it doesn't have to be negative, it doesn't have to be bashing on yourself, and it shouldn't be because that's the whole
Yep.
point of the process is just creating a better version of yourself and taking care of yourself.
Yeah, and again, this is probably a bad example from like a mental aspect side of things, but because this is when I was actually in very good shape. Um, at our old office, we used to have competitions, like office-wide competitions. We had 1,200 people in our office, and every group would send like one representative up there. And one of the activities was a plank off. So
Oh gosh.
everybody kind of knows what the plank, like that's the classic where it's like, oh, a minute on a plank is a year in your life. Like it just feels so much longer than it actually is.
Yeah.
And leading up to that point, like I could probably plank for 4 or 5 minutes ish. And during that competition, again, being in front of a whole bunch of people, I was listening to music in a good mental space about it. I was fortunate enough actually to win that competition. I planked for 13 minutes. And it got me thinking, like, again, if I was just by myself at the gym, you just have an out, right? Like, oh, after 3 4 minutes, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. Just done.
Right.
But being in front of that group of people, like, again, being in the right mental headspace, it just changed the game, and you kind of just go on autopilot.
Yeah.
And again, I think a lot of the fitness influencers that are out there, they do harp on being in the right mental space for this stuff. Otherwise, it's just you're setting yourself up for failure.
Absolutely. I don't really know if this relates, but something I struggle with a lot is I want to start lifting heavier weights, but to do that, you need to get on the squat rack.
Yep.
You need to lift a big heavy bar. I have literally been waiting. My sister has been in the gym a little bit longer than me. She's actually had like successful just leg growth and just bought like all her goals. She's been able to hit them, and obviously those goals are changing all the time. But I've just kind of been relying on her, like, okay, I'm gonna do it when my sister is with me. That way, someone's with me to make sure I'm doing this right, or I
Oh
just
yeah.
don't completely embarrass myself. But sometimes it's as easy as going up to someone else who is just using it and being polite and being kind, like, hey, would you mind real quick actually showing me how you did that? I don't have to put it off for weeks at a time, or just never ever
Yep.
going to the squat rack. Like
One
sometimes
hundred percent.
part of getting it out of your head, and that's been such a big thing for me. I've yet to accomplish it, but I'll let you know if there's any updates on that. But um,
Literally, the squat rack is probably that, and I feel like I feel like are the most intimidating things
yes, and
at a
they're
gym, because you see some people like Robert Bain. Shout out to you. If I walked up and you were doing squats, I would walk to the other side of the gym and probably not come back to that side. But again, like
but
for those that know Robert Bain, he is one of the nicest and most
yeah,
genuine people that are out there. He's
I was
scary
just
looking,
about
but
to
he's a
say that.
sweetheart.
He is the nicest person ever. He was wearing that pink Barbie shirt, and we were having just conversation about like uplifting women and transportation. He was awesome. So I think it's hilarious that you mentioned that, because I was literally about to say that, how I'd be extremely intimidated. I was a little intimidated by him. The second morning of the broker carrier summit, I accidentally called him Rob, I think. And under his breath, he finishes as like Bert. I was like, oh no! I thought I offended him so bad. I think I was just kind of like avoiding eye contact with him for the most part, because I felt horrible. I was like, oh no, this guy probably likes to be called Robert. And I just said, morning, Rob. I was like, oh, maybe we're not that acquainted yet. I felt so horrible, but eventually he was nice the entire time. He did absolutely nothing wrong, but I was so intimidated. He's this big buff dude.
Oh, I know.
And I was intimidated by this big buff dude and a wonderful pink Barbie shirt, and I felt horrible, but he is so sweet. He's very nice, and also he's got a really big personality. He was hilarious on the panel as well, just answering people's questions, and that goes for the rest of the panel as well. But in terms
very
of
much so,
big buff dude, that looks very intimidating. If I saw him on the squat rack, I would be very scared. But people are not going to know that you can just actually go up to him and ask 100%, and he would be more than happy to help.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And I think that you also bring up another really good point is if you can go on this journey with somebody, that helps so much more, right? Somebody from a stance of like, that's going through it with you, that's holding you accountable. And again, just doesn't make you feel like you're out on an island, right? You were talking about it was your sister, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like having somebody like that is there for you just makes it so much, I don't want to say easier, right? From like a physical standpoint, it's always still hard. But again, from a mental standpoint of not going through it alone, that goes a really long way.
It honestly really helps to take, it's kind of like that, being able to really zone in and focus. You have that person taking away the distraction of like, oh my gosh, is everyone looking at me? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Like, I feel like everyone's staring. They're probably thinking this and that. Those are my thoughts sometimes. And then as soon as I tell myself, like, no, nobody's looking at you. Like, you're completely fine. Nobody, like, what makes you think that people care about you?
It's literally almost a similar idea from like a public speaking standpoint. Now, obviously, if you're up in front of a group of people, people are watching you, but like more often than not, they're still just kind of focused on stuff that they're doing, right? Like it's they're more worried about them and not necessarily about what's going on. And I think that you get over that side of things, and it helps a ton.
This is going to sound so bad, but I've heard the saying before. I don't know if I'm saying this 100% accurately. It sounds bad, but when you really think about it, this is what made me feel better, where it's like people don't care about you as much as you think they do. Like when they're strangers
100%.
People are not thinking the thoughts that you are thinking when you are out in public. And as soon as you kind of come to realize that, and also like put yourself in your own shoes, like, are you thinking these things about every single person that walks by you or enters the gym or enters into a public space? And like, as soon as you kind of give yourself that reality check, it becomes so much easier to just do your thing.
Yeah, 100%. And as I'm looking at the time, we were running close up against it here. I was probably doing 15 to 20 minutes of activity. And that is something that's still, again, in the building blocks of success in your fitness journey go a long way. So a very, 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 very quick recap. This is, again, stuff you can do anytime, really anywhere, just to get your mind, get your body right. Starting off with push-ups, right? Bang out a couple of those. From your desk chair, sit here. You can either do just standing up and then go down, or if you can do the single leg, focus on each leg. Right? Standing up, then standing down, or sitting down, standing down. So doing some of those. The other thing that I did, again, to focus on the core side of things, laying on your back and flutter kicks. So starting here and just switching legs. Again, you can go fast, but the biggest thing is that you're in control of your body, right? Those three exercises in and of themselves are going to help you go a long way. Now, from a stretching side of things, focusing on the hamstrings. You can do both legs out, try and touch the toes, or you can do single legs like I did, right? Let's go a long way. Another big one that helps your quads and your hip flexor. Shout out to the golfers out there. This is a great stretch. Just go on one knee and then lean forward. You're going to feel it all across and way down here. And the last one that I did is for my back, because I've got a terrible back. Again, laying flat, cross your legs, and try and bend over to each side. And that's it. It's easy. I mean, it's not easy. It's so hard, but it's a good stuff for you to be able to, again, do anytime, anywhere. Just put yourself in the right mindset, get the body right, get the mind right, and kick this week's ass. Absolutely. So that's all I got for you. Anything else you want to add, Natalia?
I would say for anyone tuning in, whether it's now live, which is probably not, but later on, as we hopefully get to promote this episode more, you'll probably see hashtag iron sharpens iron. And just based off like our conversation today, I would almost like highly encourage people, if you're struggling to get out there, struggling to find that community, and also struggling to get started, and if you want to move, want to get active, be that person as well, that you wish other people would be for you. Like if you wish that someone would reach out to you and just kind of help you, or share a kind smile, share a kind supportive message towards you if you're doing great, be that person. And you're gonna attract like-minded people in that, but be that 100%. Person that sharpens another.
100%. Yeah, help each other out, support each other, build the community. And remember, it's all baby steps. You don't need to run a marathon tomorrow, right? Start by running around the block, start by running 2 blocks, and again, build those blocks and set up that foundation to get to what your goals are.
Absolutely. Well, that's all I have.
That's all I've got as well. Thank you so much for tuning in if you are, and looking forward to next week, Monday at 11 a.m. Central. See you guys there.